Wapow, wapow, wapow. What's up?
You asking me or them?
Both, whatever. They never respond, so I guess I'll ask you.
Yeah, it's fine.
It's outside the cinema.
It is.
Your weekly source for cult movie discussion. My hands are in my face because my allergies.
Why is that?
Because my allergies are bothering me.
Oh.
But I refuse to not wear my contact lenses, so it only makes it worse. I'm like, this is my own fault. Why has God forsaken me?
Oh, it's a fun season. I've been reading everybody that my allergies have never been bad. Well, guess what? It's warmer, so the pollen's more virulent.
Well, it's warmer, and we've had like a shit ton of rain.
Yeah,
more than we usually get.
Things are nice and green finally.
Yes, they will be for 2 weeks, and then we'll be in a water shortage.
Yeah.
Yeah. How about that drought? Oh, it's coming. Don't worry.
Yeah,
it's coming.
Well, dirt isn't snow, so I'm okay with that.
Fair enough. Fair enough. Alrighty, everybody. We got a Patreon show this week. Let me fade out the music there. So, okay, yeah, we got Carl, who's been a friend of the show and listener and maven for quite a long time now.
Okay,
sent in his picks for this week. Hey, Bill, here's a couple of not you, just me.
Yeah.
Mostly because the emails come to me. So
right.
But hey, Bill, here's a couple of Patreon picks for the show. Please feel free to read out the message below on the show. Nope. Not going to do that. I'll try and send a couple of voice messages after review them about why I picked them. Cheers, mate. He then goes on to say, hey, Bill and Chris. There you go. You get included in the second one there. Carl in the UK here. Been way too long since I last wrote in, but here I am lurking in the shadows. Wanted to pick a couple of films that I think could make for interesting chats. One skews more Bill and one skews more Chris. Let's see if you guys can figure out which it is.
Okay.
The first is 1976 Mansion of the Doomed. He wrote Damned, but we couldn't find that movie. We could only find one called Mansion of the Doomed. It was the same year and it had Lance Hendrickson in it, so we knew it was the right one.
Yeah.
It's a shit title, yes. Well, yeah, yours is even worse because it's not right. Actually, I don't know. Maybe it was that was the title in the UK. So I take that back, Carl. I take that back.
Yeah, damn was a swear over here for quite a long number of pearl clutching years.
Shit title, yes, but I gave it a watch anyway, and I'm so glad that I did. A surprisingly dark horror thriller film. There's pure 70s and features a young, even if he still looks like he's over 40, Lance Hendrickson.
Yeah.
It's true. He was of course, now that I was going to say it, I can't remember his name. Picture his face. He was in the Halloween movies, and then he was in every random 70s movie. What the fuck is his name?
Loomis. Shit.
Always bald. That dude never had hair.
Oh my God. All I can think of is Alfred Hitchcock, and it's not him.
It's not Alfred Hitchcock.
No.
I love when we do this. I wish I could see somebody listening at home and being like, obviously, it's like screaming because we are supposed to be experts.
You know what? I can't keep all of that information in my head all the time.
I can't. I'm not. And now that I'm trying to think of it, it's making my brain just stop.
It's because
it's
Donald Pleasance.
Donald Pleasance. Thank you.
It's like that was a case of the yips.
Yep.
We just had a yips there. You know so much you forget everything.
Yep. Donald Pleasance showed up in every movie in the 70s that we cover. Never looked a day under the age of 60.
Yeah. Like if I forgot who Malcolm McDowell was. He's in everything.
The thing with Pleasance was
same role too, huh?
Yeah. Go figure. He was just always and here's the thing too. Like I saw an Instagram post the other day of remember what it was like to be over the age of 40 on TV in the 1970s and the 1980s. And it's like the Golden Girls were like 45.
I thought they were 60 at the time.
They were in their 50s. They were supposed to be in their 50s.
It's crazy.
The mom
so
in
weird.
all family was supposed to be 48.
Yeah.
Dude,
Yeah.
I'm 48. Like, and she looked older, 20 years older than my grandmother.
Marissa Tomei is 60.
Crazy. Anyway.
Yeah.
Second is a film I don't feel anyone has talked about when it came out. Monstrum from 2018. Without trying
I think
to give...
he has a point there.
That's it. Without trying to give too much away, it's a Korean period political thriller, martial arts, action, comedy, horror, kaiju movie.
Okay, yeah.
I blind watched it on a plane and it blew me away, but recently watched it as there was a chance the plane film is a... I blind watched it on a plane and it blew me away, but recently rewatched it as there's always a chance a plane film is a good grade or too higher because there's nothing else to do. Nope, this kicks ass. Hope you both enjoy this one.
That's a good point. I do like that. You are trapped, so you're going to make the best of it, right?
Fair enough. He goes on to say, if I can just use this chance to say a late congratulations on the 17th season and just want to push the OTC letterbox list I've been compiling for a while. I'm as far back as the 400s now and try to keep it up to date every week since I started including grades in Joe and Scott segments. Also, I find it...
Oh, yeah.
To find it, just search Outside the Cinema on letterbox lists. Keep smashing it for another 17 seasons, my friends. Carl.
Nice.
Yeah, thanks, Carl. Appreciate it, bud.
So we got the right movie, and we have somebody keeping track of what we do, because I swear I watched a trailer the other day, and I'm like, this seems really familiar. Like, really familiar. And then half of the trailer was like, I don't remember this shit at all.
Yeah, that happens to me.
And I know it was something we did.
Happens to me all the time, actually. I just so rarely watch like stuff outside of the show now for films. I mean, I still watch a lot of like series and stuff, but I just don't watch a lot of feature films anymore. I watch almost strictly documentaries and like series for whatever reason. I don't know why. Like I watched Brand New Cherry Flavor. I watched the whole season in like 2 days over the weekend. Pretty good.
Oh,
it was pretty good. Not the best thing I've ever seen, but not bad at all.
Nice.
All right. Good. Anyway, sorry. Let's get acting. Do we want to do Mansion of the Doomed first, or we want to do Monstrum?
Oh. Let's do Monstrum.
Let's do Monstrum. Okay, Monstrum.
여기가 물개의 통진로 같습니다. 물개가 실로 있단 말이냐? 물개는 있습니다. 발톱 자국이나 진액을 발견하거든 속히 구하라.
손을 잡아야 합니다. 시간이 없어요.
All right, Monstrum, available to watch on Shudder. 2018, original title, Mulgao. Starring Kim Young Min, Kim Un Kwon, Lee Hyeri, and Choi Won Sik. I'd never heard of this.
I heard the name, but then when you look it up, there's quite a few movies with this name. So I don't know if I heard this name.
Right.
I don't know.
So this is also directed by Jong Ho Hu, and he worked on see if there's anything here. Not he doesn't have a ton of stuff. He's only directed a handful of films, Monstrum being one of them. The Advocate from 2015 and Countdown from 2011. He also wrote Monstrum and he wrote Countdown. That's all he's got listed in his filmography currently. So up and coming director, we'll say.
Yeah.
All right. So
Sounds good.
Monstrum is exactly what Carl said it was in the email that he sent us, where it's a combination of a bunch of different things. It's a monster flick, it's a kaiju flick, which is kind of one of the same, but it's, got a little bit of horror. It's got some comedy elements to it. It's got a lot of actually quite a bit of political stuff going on in it. And we're talking early Korean political stuff, not current.
But honestly, it's not that different.
No,
really, when it comes
really,
down to
really, it isn't.
It's just a different structure with a king, and that's not what I grew up with. So
right, exactly. So this is, the story is simple enough. You have Yoon Gyeom. He's a loyal subject to the king, Jung Jong of Joseon. He ends up leaving the army or the royal guard for whatever reason. There's a story of a monster called Monstrum that is out there. There's some some uncertainty whether it's a real thing, whether it's a made up thing. All those kind of like, isn't it type deals. But there's also all of these political things where there are people trying to usurp the king and take him out of power and replace him with somebody else. And then also there's the monster element of the monster coming through and taking people out with no real rhyme or reason. And it all kind of flows that way. But we open up, the film opens up in a very effective way where we have army, royal guard, whatever you want to call it, basically killing plague-infested people. Unclear how real the plague is.
Yeah. They're telling them what's going on.
Right.
They're telling them.
Then we also find out later on that it may have been a story manufactured to just take out a bunch of the peasants. But either way, a young girl is being held by her mom. Her mom is shot with arrows, and they're thrown into a body pit.
It's your typical Conan the Barbarian opening.
Yeah.
Really.
Yeah. So the royal guard, Yoon, rescues the girl because she's not dead, and he basically leaves kind of because of the needless killing that's happening. So he leaves the royal guard, but he's the guy that he's the most respected. He's the best. He's the martial arts guy that can kick everybody's ass. And he just chooses to walk away from it. Basically because he brings it to the king, and the king, for whatever reason, folds to his cabinet or whatever, because they have ulterior motives.
Oh, yeah.
So we fast forward a number of years, probably 10, 15 years into the future. We learn that this is the story of Monstrum that is basically, we think, or we're led to believe, is a made-up story by members of the royal family and guard to keep peasants in check, essentially.
Yeah.
But you watch the trailer, there's a real monster, so that's all happening. But it's real. It's real, and now they're trying to figure out what to do about it because it's getting closer and closer to the kingdom.
Yeah.
But there's, again, the political side of it where there's the guys that want to overthrow the current king and take over.
Yep.
But there's also the monster. And so there's a lot of shifts and turns at play in here.
Yeah, there's also a lot of parallels between what's going on and with the monster and the prime minister or chief of staff, or I just finished it, so I don't even know. I don't remember what position he has, but it feels sort of like the UK would have their king and their prime minister, and in this case, maybe the king isn't as much of a figurehead as in real life. So that's and then basically you Steve Bannon your way into solidifying all your power.
Yeah. So basically, you get your kind of your standard start to the story where a member of the royal guard returns to Yoon and is like, "Listen, the people are dying. We don't really know what's real and what's not. We really could use your help." So he has now raised the young girl that he saved and is raising her as his daughter. So she wants to come. And then he's also got his best friend who is basically the uncle figure. And they're talked into doing it. So they basically pulled together a bunch of civilians to go after Monstrum. We learn that the daughter, who is super stubborn but also very smart, wants to be a nurse. They join in the church as well.
No. She wants to be the first female doctor.
Female doctor, yes. Apologies.
Yeah.
Apologies.
No, that's a huge difference because of the time frame, right?
Correct. So they all join the church too. They get a bunch of people together with some of the royal guardians and some of the army members and all of these things. And they're going out to try to find Monstrum because they believe the Monstrum is actually the one spreading the plague, because as they start to find these bodies, they find boils on them and these things where a lot of this stuff was supposed to not be real and is now real. And they use this legend to kind of peddle it. It's kind of one of those, like,
it's a boogeyman.
Yeah, you willed it into existence in a certain sense.
Yeah. Yeah.
So it's spreading through the villagers. They figure they got to find this thing. When they realize that it's real, but then there's also the prime minister,
That's who it is. Yeah.
who basically plays the monster as kind of like this pawn piece to kill all of them and then come back and overthrow the throne.
Yeah, it's a confusing plan. When you see the people actively destroy the government that they want to take control of, like, what are they going to be in control of after that? The whole village is burnt to the ground. I'm not talking about anything happening today. I mean, in the movie, but surprise. But like, how do you
Go for it, man. Go for it.
I don't understand. Never mind. I do. All of a sudden, I do. I forgot about arrogance. He thinks that this thing will listen to him. We know better because we've seen it in the trailer. So it's not a secret that it's King Caesar's dog.
Yeah.
So literally, this could be a King Caesar origin story, and I would be just as happy with it.
Yeah, because it looks like a cross between a lion and like an angry dog.
Yeah, it's the pug face, like, guardian dogs that they would have. Yeah. So yeah, you got, but you got two smart people in charge, the king, or I keep wanting to say emperor. And he's more compassionate to the people in the village, the people in the neighborhood. And the other one is just basically like, fucking cut it all down. I don't care. Let's just get this done. And I don't understand the purpose behind that. I mean, I don't know. I mean, I can understand. I can grasp the reasoning. I'm not saying I can understand it. I could comprehend it, but understanding why things are happening now, I mean, in this movie back then, it's just, I don't know. I will say this, though. The fascists in this movie had really, really nice outfits.
Yeah, costuming in this is excellent.
I have to say, I think this is and this isn't any political thing at all. That other thing was a joke, but not really. So I have to say that I think this time period in China, Korea, the whole area, Japan, and this is going to sound really stupid, they have the best hats.
No, I hear you. Because this is
anybody.
like this is 1500s, right?
Yeah. I love the hat that the mesh, really like skinny pilgrimy type hat. I didn't look up what kind of it was, but then they had the pointed, like you see in the fields, the people wearing, but it was pleated or corrugated.
Yeah, corrugated.
It was a corduroy hat. No, it looked really nice. It was like a thicker wood, but like the rain would run off of it, and I don't know. They just have good hats.
It's fine. That's fine.
Yeah.
One of the things I like about this film is that they do a pretty good job, and I enjoy this in general in films, when you take historical things that are somewhat based on the reality of what actually happened, and this is very much, I think, in that, and you mix that with the fantasy element.
Yep.
To give a kind of like fun I mean, I don't know how fun it would be, but like a fun historical.
Alternate. We can say alternate history.
Yeah,
that's fine.
Yeah. And they do that in this because in the early 1500s, there was all kinds of turmoil in Korea. Like it was like everyone was trying to overthrow everybody, and there was no clear cut like thing happening.
Oh yeah.
So, there's definitely that point of where they're trying to, overthrow the king and also survive. But one of the things that I think I had an issue with in this is like, as it kind of plays itself out and the prime minister and his guys are deciding that this is their moment to take over. We've seen this beast kill everybody not be slowed down at all. And for some reason, he all of a sudden thinks that he can control it for no reason. Other than his ego.
Exactly. It's a stupid horror movie mistake, but it is definitely a real life mistake that is made all the time. You're going to overestimate yourself. You tell everybody you know everything about being a lawyer, everything more, more than judges. Nobody knows more than this one guy. And then when he's asked, you ask him a fundamental question about his job he doesn't know. Like, what the hell?
Yeah.
What was I talking about?
Him thinking he could control the monster.
Yeah, so it's the arrogance. Because nobody says no to people like that. They're all afraid to. And they think everybody listens because everybody does listen, and that's because they want money. The people that are hanging around are sycophants.
Right.
Everybody else has resigned their positions, possibly. I don't know. And they definitely want to. What was that noise?
I don't know. I heard it too. It was on your side, not mine.
Okay. I'm alone in this room.
No, you are not.
That was weird. I don't like that. Let me make sure all these windows are closed. Yeah, people are like that. I worked at the theater up the street, the 6-screen theater that you know the name of that we don't need to mention. But the owner, the prior owner, parked his car somewhere he shouldn't have, and he got one of those window tickets. Mm-hmm. Where they put the big sticky ticket on your car.
I've never had one, but I've seen many of them.
I've seen some, yeah. And basically, he came up. I was in the lobby, and he's like, "Hey, I'll give you $50 if you can get that off the window." I'm like, "Okay, do you need it?" No. Like, what are the repercussions, right? It's just none of it mattered. Money doesn't matter. Nobody says no to the guy. So when you do, and you tell somebody that they are not the best player of that game that's ever existed, you can't handle it. And then your mom has to go into the equivalent of, I guess, what we would call social media and tell everybody to stop making fun of her special little boy who's 54 fucking years old. So that's why he thought he could control the monster.
Fair enough.
No, I mean that really is.
Yeah,
is a lot of extra shit.
No, it's a definite parallel, and it's this film is, despite being a wacky monster movie, it's trying to show the social commentary, and relate, that there's similarities from today going back in time. One thing I also found interesting was I expected, I expected them at some point to have to rally together to try to defeat the monster. And then, he would turn on the prime minister, and his people would then turn on them after they thought that they had, won or whatever. But that never actually happens. He's so set in his ways that even though the monster is slaughtering everybody, he still sends a specific group of his guys out to chase the king down and try to kill the king, rather than being like, hey, maybe we should work together to defeat this thing.
So what you're telling me is that the new ruler of that kingdom is using his special police force to target the prior leader of that community to the expense of the kingdom, because there's literally a monster in the court yard tearing shit up, and you are focused on. This is why Kylo Ren wasn't such a good villain. Like, oh, it's Luke. Oh shit, I lost track of everything. But that's what this guy does. And maybe if we had watched this 6 months ago, we would think this whole thing's ridiculous, but yeah, I mean, this is the most believable monster movie I've seen in a long time since Jesus Camp.
Yeah. Different monster there. Talk to me about the look, the feel, how the monster moved. Did you like it?
Of the monster, as soon as it showed up and we got a good look at it, I thought, and I'm gonna make sure the name's right after I say it, but I thought, oh, that reminds me of Ashitaka from Princess Mononoke. I don't know if that's the name. I can't spell today.
I can't spell any day, so you're ahead of me.
Oh, geez, I can't close that window. I need that window. I need that window for the show. Ashitaka was the main character, yeah.
And also my favorite mushroom.
Oh,
that's shiitake.
Yes. And he has that curse in his arm. When we first meet him and he's being chased by the wild boar. I thought it was going to be something like that. Like if the creature was willed into existence, then it looks the way it does. Basically sick boils, mange, mostly like bleeding mange is what it looked like. I thought the attitude of the people that conjured this thing up is what's poisoning it. And really, it's supposed to be a guardian and not an attack beast. But that's not the case. And I'm okay with that because every single thing I thought didn't happen. Like, oh, the kid in the hat that shows up in the beginning, he's going to be the monster. Oh, no, it's really the girl that was rescued because you didn't see the monster when the girl was, her parents were, oh, shit, maybe the monster is just a monster. Oh, it's not. Okay, fine. It definitely... So the two monster movies from Korea that I know, we have The Host and this, and they're both reasonably sized monsters for like existing and moving at the speed they do. And I think that's just interesting to point out. So it's like, what would it be equal to in size? Like a what's that called? One of the little minibuses for schools.
Maybe the size of like a regular school bus.
Oh,
it's actually pretty tall. It's pretty long.
Yeah, so if you put 4 of those into a one on top next to each other, that's a decent size. Yeah,
it's good size. It's not like Godzilla huge or anything like that, but it's a good size.
No, and I think that's what makes it a believable monster, because maybe if you bring enough guys, you could kill it or capture it, but not 2 or 3 people by themselves. So it was a good enough threat, and I liked the facial animation, like how it looked like it had just been through hell on its face because it's been attacked a bunch of times. Literally, the thing started off as a scapegoat for the plague, and so it's been chased its whole life. It's been. Well, that's probably why he thought he could control it, because he sort of has.
Well, what I really loved about the like kind of the origin story of the monster was like how, like, not to give it away, but like they like were creating these different beasts and things, and then they basically were like, nope, no more, and it got away and was like stuck underground, and the reason why it spread the plague was because it feasted on all these rotting corpses and stuff. So there was this great, like a really good built-in origin story for it, where it's like obviously still not believable because, you know, crossbreeding and creating all these things is not really like, at least not in this sense, isn't going to work. But like it gave a really good, like, oh, okay, so this is where this, you know, legend came from. It's all got good fact behind it, and it works for the story.
I mean, if we accept Daredevil and the Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles with no issue, then this is the same thing. Yeah, pretty much. It's just more mindless. And I thought that was an interesting thing too. I figured as soon as something was taken care of, this thing would snap out of whatever was controlling it, but it doesn't. It's just an animal. And that's the scariest part, I think, because like we had our little bit with the Rancor Keeper, which I really liked. But no one is going to be able to do anything if he can't. What do you do in that case?
I don't know. You've said some nice things. I'm going to say a couple harsh things.
Okay.
Things that bugged me with this movie. The CGI is a little dodgy for 2018.
Yeah. Well,
And
I expected
also-
that going in. Yeah.
Yeah, and also they do this thing on a number of the action sequences where I don't know whether they shot it at a different frame rate or like,
Okay.
but the like shaky cam, stuttery, like it's definitely an aesthetic choice. It's what they wanted to do, but it just kind of like it gave me a headache with like the kind of like
Okay.
stuttery like stuff going on. I think they actually did it to try to hide how dodgy some of the CGI was.
That could be, yeah.
But it just
Yeah.
it like I had a hard time watching it. It was one of those things I'd watch and I had to be like, whoa, no. And
Yeah,
it took me out of every like, and it happens 5 or 6 times, and it took me out of those scenes immediately.
Yeah, I have to say this is one of the few times where I looked at it, where I'm watching something and at the back of my head just subconsciously goes, that beast is in a lot of slow motion scenes because it looks better in slow motion. Thanks, brain.
Yep.
Thanks a lot.
Thanks for telling me my business.
But that's what it ends up being. I mean, you want to highlight it, so you're going to put all your effort into those
For sure.
those show reels. And I think this CG is better than, and I know this is like a 10 fucking year difference, 20-year difference at this point, but like it's better than the first Resident Evil stuff.
Oh, yeah.
And that was straight up Hollywood. So
Yeah, I mean, it's like, and some of it's actually pretty good, but some of it is real bad. So I'm like,
Yeah.
where? I don't know. Find a middle ground. That's what I think. So, all right, let's grade this.
okay.
Chris, do you recommend, and what is your grade for Monstrum?
Yeah, I am going to recommend this. I didn't want to watch it because it didn't look interesting to me. And that's definitely a huge minus like for it, because like people just going to skip right over it. Oh, feudal Korea, I don't give a shit. But it's just the setting. It's like when they say I want to do Bonanza in space. That's it. It's just the same story, just plopped down with a new skin, and political subterfuge and underhanded bullshit and all that. It's eternal. So it's very relatable. I, however, don't know anything about that time period, like at all, except that I like the outfits.
Okay.
But now I want to know, like, what are those mesh hats? Why do certain people wear them and not others? And what, the hairnet, the very specific hairstyle that you can see sitting in the hat and all that. It's just fascinating. And I know that did a lot of visual storytelling that I just have no access to, because how would I?
Right.
Well, I mean, I could have studied something, but I didn't. So what I'm saying is, as a white person, I got this for mostly the surface level stuff and some of the symbolic stuff that they were going for. But if there's deeper commentary about Korean history, it was lost on me. But that doesn't matter, because I recommend this, and I'm going to give this B+.
Okay.
Yeah.
I'm not as hot on it as you are. I'm going to give it a tepid recommend. Story-wise, I like what they got going on. The twists and turns, although it's a lot and kind of hard to follow at some points, it all works. I have 2 major issues with this movie. One of them being those action sequences and the way they're filmed and the CGI really kind of just took me out of it. And the other thing, I think this is about 15 minutes too long. They took a nice amount of time to get through the story, and then all of a sudden, like in that final act, it kind of grinds down and slows down quite a bit.
Let me ask you, was it when they were grabbing the gunpowder?
Part
When
of
you
it, yeah.
thought that?
Yeah, part
That's
of it.
exactly where I thought, I thought this was going to end now.
Yeah.
Because it does.
And it goes on
does
for about 15
ramp
more
down.
minutes.
Yeah, and it's a perfectly fine ending. I don't necessarily agree with what the characters did, but that's, I'm not them, so
Correct.
So what?
You are not them.
And I was gonna start this review. I was so totally pissed, but I forgot to say you have to watch until the credits roll. Otherwise, you're gonna be mad.
Yeah.
I think that's fair.
Yeah. So yeah, those two things really kind of took me out of it. So I mean, I'm giving it a recommend. It's a tepid one, and I'm gonna grade it a C. I didn't hate it. I didn't love it.
Yeah.
Like, probably won't revisit it at any point. Wasn't pissed that I watched it. That makes sense?
Yeah, no, I mean, you can't hope for more than that, can you?
I mean, you can.
but if you don't get it, it's, what can you do?
You
You're
can
gonna
if you
make
want
it,
to.
So. Yep.
Okay, so that is Monstrum. Let's move on to Mansion of the Doomed.
Yeah.
They told us death was the ultimate horror. They were wrong.
Yet who would have predicted that dreadful day, how far I might have to go?
I don't care. The only thing you'd better discover is a way to get rid of those people.
Wait a minute. This isn't the way to Disneyland. You're heading toward the ocean.
Catherine, no more!
Daddy, I love you.
As most of us are my intent. Oh, please, people.
Let me go. Let me go.
No!
Everything has been removed. The entire eyeball.
Then you know my word. Why did you allow it? Why? Let me out! Hey, where are you? Your life for mine!
Some movies you watch, some you feel. You'll feel Mansion of the Doomed.
All right, Mansion of the Doomed, 1976, directed by Michael Patke. You might remember Michael Patke as an actor. He had some small roles in Rocky IV. He played Nikolai Koloff. He was also in Easy Rider, Graduation Day, a number of other things.
Okay.
Let's see what we can look at here for his stuff that he directed, because he's a very experienced actor doing a whole bunch of voiceover work, and like he's been in like tons of TV shows, tons of movies, like Remo Williams.
Oh, okay.
But where's his directing stuff? Where? That. Let's get rid of that. He directed 3 films.
Okay.
Sorry, 2 films and a few episodes of a Hardy Boys Nancy Drew mystery series. So Mansion of the Doomed is his only horror film, and he did do a 1977 version of Cinderella.
Okay.
But it's like a Cinderella traces the misadventures of our heroine, who's via the help of the fairy godmother is granted heightened sexual powers to win over Prince Charming. So it's a cheeky version of Cinderella that he directed.
Okay.
All right. This stars Richard Basehart, Gloria Graham, Trish Stewart, and Lance Henriksen. Al Farrow shows up too. There's a number of guys that you will recognize if you are a big 70s movie person, especially stuff like this. Like, I mean, Richard Basehart, like he was in like Moby Dick and like Voyage at the Bottom of the Sea and stuff like that. And then he did a lot of 80s
show.
TV shows like Knight Rider and like Hunter and stuff like that.
Yep.
So
Yeah.
the story is pretty simple here. You have Dr. Leo Cheney and his daughter Catherine. No, his daughter Nancy and his wife Catherine. Sorry.
Oh, yeah.
And then Lance Henriksen plays Dan, who is Nancy's fiance. We know that Dr. Cheney is a world-renowned doctor of optometry. He has a lot of different theories on eyes and seeing and ways that you can fix people that have lost their eyesight. So we see him doing at the beginning a talk about different things relating to surgeries to help people see. He's asked about a doctor in Europe that is supposedly transplanted a full eyeball, and they talk about how it's going too far because of the optic nerves and a whole bunch of scientific mumbo jumbo that like is just there to kind of, show that he knows what he's talking about. So we then find him driving with so the first third of not first third, but like maybe like first 15% of the film is kind of rehashing what has happened. And the big thing is that his daughter Nancy is riding with him in a car. They swerve to avoid hitting a dog and get into an accident, and she's blinded in the accident.
Yeah.
Yep.
I mean, yeah.
Yep. So now he has made it his mission to do whatever he can to give her sight back. And that's where we fall into deranged mad doctor territory with this guy.
Yeah. And stupid doctor territory, by the way.
Yeah. I obviously am a lover of 70s trash films, and this is so in there. Not to spoil my review, though, this one didn't hit for me like a lot of the other ones do. And I think by what you said there with stupid doctor territory is kind of the reasoning why. So you want to kind of explain as we go his kind of like downfall?
Oh, his downfall was from the very first time he operated. Because somebody didn't tell this like his specialty is eyes, right? His whole study, he's an optical specialist. Pinpoint of knowledge. Nobody told him don't cut off their fucking eyelids. Like, they show retractors and those grippy hands and forceps and spreaders. They got all that. But let's just cut the whole thing out. Just use a fucking apple core or something. Like, come on, guy. What are you cutting? How do these eyes... How are you attaching the muscles? How can they move? How can she see so quickly afterward? Do you know when the first successful full eye transplant was?
I don't.
Okay, this is why this movie doesn't bother me, except for the stupid doctor shit. But we can go Mad Doctor and that'll be fine. This movie was science fiction. Okay? Until almost to the day 2 years ago. 2 years, the first, May 2023, was the first whole eye and partial face transplant. So this was an insane idea.
Oh, yeah. I mean, it's still an insane idea. I mean, yes, it is now possible.
Yeah, the way he goes about it is absolutely nuts. There's no blood type testing. There's no rejection medicine. There's
nothing.
Barely bandages.
Nothing.
Oh, I understand being excited about your work, but I mean, come on.
But it's the classic story of attempting to help a family member and just throwing away all of your morality with it.
Yeah, because you get the sunken cost fallacy.
Yeah.
I've put all this into it. I can't stop now. That's when you need to stop and go, wait, why can't I stop? I've given the casino $5,000. I have $6 left. If I don't stop now, I'll just finish what I started and I have no money, or I could, just like take a second and think about it. This guy doesn't do that.
Yeah. And the thing that is so insane about it is there's no thought process in terms of like what he's doing. So what he's doing is kidnapping people, stealing their eyeballs, putting them into his daughter, and then just putting them in a cage in the basement.
Yeah.
Nobody gets an infection.
No.
Nobody ever eats. Nobody's ever taken care of.
They did bring food down one time.
Did they? Okay.
Yeah, I checked those things.
Nobody goes to the bathroom.
Yeah, I'm not touching that one.
Yep. But it starts with Lance Hendrickson. He's the fiance. He invites him over for dinner, and then he drugs him at dinner and then steals his eyeballs.
We call that pulling a Cosby.
Cosby steals more than your eyeballs. He steals your soul.
And your dignity.
Yeah, that too. So we see Lance Henriksen eyeballless in the basement, basically yelling at Catherine, who's the wife of the doctor. And then Nancy wakes up and she can see.
Yeah.
And she can see. But it doesn't last. It
And
only
doesn't
lasts
hurt
a few days.
or anything. This movie fails in a couple of parts. One part is like it takes way too long for the doctor to say, but I'm going to give them all their sight back. That should have been established in the beginning to make him just a little more sympathetic. And then I forgot what my second point was.
Can't help you there, dude.
Nope, nothing. I'll remember.
All right,
That's
fair
all
enough. So she has her eyesight back for a few days, and then she's swimming in the pool, and all of a sudden everything goes black, and she can't see anymore. So
I mean, even my wife said, "Really, brand new eyes in the pool, dummy."
I know, and swimming around with them wide open, and
Yeah. No, that's fine. Doctor said, "Don't get pudding in my eye, not chlorine."
That's true. And the other thing that kind of bugged me was she was minor scarring, minor swelling. Like, she's got two brand new eyes put into her head. He somehow was able to reconnect her optic nerves. And there's like, she looks gorgeous.
Yep.
What is that?
Yeah.
That might be my car going off. I may have to go take care of that.
All right.
Talk for a sec. I'll be right back.
All right. So apparently Stan Winston did the effects on this. You learn that Stanley Winston is in the credits, and he did the makeup for this. And I have to admit, the missing eye makeup at first looks really good on close up, because they do a nice close up of the eye with the flappy eyelid, which he shouldn't have, because he clearly cut them off, because you could see that.
Yeah.
But like the makeup for the missing eyes, that's a very hard thing to do, because you have to build up off the face, and anytime you fuck with the structure of the face, it's instantly noticeable. Mm-hmm. And for close-ups, the missing eye stuff worked, but I think it turned them into ghouls more than what's it called there? Victims.
Yeah.
That word.
And it gets there pretty quickly. Is the thing. So it's the type of thing, but I get it. Like, they're just thrown in a cage in the basement. They're not given any, they have lost their eyesight. Like, I get like that kind of ghoul mentality, if you will.
Oh yeah. Yeah. It's very proto people under the stairs.
Yeah. My issue really stems from nothing ever really goes anywhere. You know what I mean? Like, he just continuously puts new eyeballs into his daughter's eyes, and then just continuously just fills the cage in the basement. There's definitely, they put some thought into, like, they electrify the cage so that they can take people in and out of it and like stuff like that. So there's some stuff there. And his descent into like complete mad doctorism is definitely there. And I think that's Basehart does a pretty good job of conveying that through his acting, but it never really goes anywhere.
He wasn't a threatening villain. And I think that's what you needed when he's trying to abduct children.
Yeah, that was creepy, though. That part was creepy.
I have to admit, though, most of it was like, where did this come from? But they actually built from like a donor eyes from a cadaver to live to, and then we get into reanimator territory here with like, well, how long after death, we have to keep flow to it to keep it alive, blah, blah, blah. And there's some stuff there. But then the guy's just so dumb. Hey, little girl, want to come to my house so I can cut your eyes out? I mean, I got cake.
No, he was taking her to Disneyland. That's what it was.
Yeah. And it's like, okay, granted, that's fair in the 70s. We weren't told not to go with people, because those people that should have told us that were all raised in trusting neighborhoods.
Yeah, the people were like, just find a way home.
Yeah. Yeah, you know where we live.
Find a way home. So, but yeah, my issues stem from the lack of the story kind of opening up. It never really gets any bigger than what he's attempting to do to fix the eyes of the daughter. And the only way it gets bigger is more people end up, in the basement. And then the finish of it all, like they slightly tease a police thing where the police, they find a way one of the girls gets out and she gets hit by a car because she can't see and she just wanders into the street. And they're like, I mean,
she has ears.
Right.
Anyway.
So the police are just like, this is crazy. Like her eyes have been removed, like completely. So they go to him to talk to him because he's the eye guy. And, and then it never goes anywhere past that, you know? And like, usually these stories will have the cops like start to figure it out and everything kind of closes in. Like the cops close in on him as people are escaping. And like, they're just like, oh, okay. Your excuse for why this could have happened is sufficing.
Yeah. Well, I mean, that was policing back then.
It's true. That was policing back then. 70s policing.
But to be fair, I mean, I don't know. There's no defense why you wouldn't just bring him in. Why keep experimenting on the one person you want to help? Why not try it on Lance Henriksen? Like, take his eyes out and then put them back in. Just his same eyes.
Right. No, I get you.
Happens.
I get you.
Right? That's we're in like Mengele territory here. But like, if you're going to be a horror movie villain and you're really trying to help somebody and you think you're the good guy, you probably shouldn't keep cutting the optic nerve and the eye muscles that control the eye movement. Maybe don't keep cutting that every 5 days.
Well, yeah. Also in the fact that he never seems to change what he's doing. It's just like, well, maybe these eyeballs will work.
Yeah, which is definitely, he starts using the scientific method a little bit after like the fourth failure. And that's when he starts moving to other people, like, you know, oh, is it going to be this 12-year-old kid's eyes? Are they going to be good enough? But also, how do all these eyes fit? Eyes can be different sizes. We don't all come in the same size.
Sure.
My eye sockets are larger and smaller than other people's. So
it's true.
He was just doing it based on whichever eyes gave him the chub, it seemed.
It was actually whoever's eyes he could get.
Yeah, whoever was dumb enough to come in his house.
Right. One of the funny parts was when he tries to kidnap that girl and take her to Disneyland, and she realizes that she's being kidnapped, and she's like, you know, is able to escape because they get into an accident, and then two of the guys from the accident see that he's like trying to kidnap this girl and follow him home. And then they show up at the house and they're like, oh, like, you know, trying to kidnap that girl. And he's like, well, I guess I'll give you money. And they're like,
yeah,
oh, all right. Okay.
Yeah. They're dumb.
And then they're
dumber than the doctor.
Like,
yeah. I'm not saying they deserve it because nobody deserves that. Well, nobody in this movie deserved that. Sorry.
It's okay. It's okay. It's a very complex story.
There's so much that's just batshit crazy that I'm like, all right, what are they going to do next? Right. And there's so much that's like, doctors wouldn't do that. Come on. Even if you're at home in your grimy little basement surgical area, you're still going to at least pour some vodka on it or something, right?
Yeah, man. It's like they wrap a couple paper towels around their forehead and they're like, all right, let's go.
Yeah. Yeah.
All right, Chris, do you recommend and what is your score for Mansion of the Damned or Mansion of the Doomed? Right. Sorry.
So this is one of the many in the past few weeks that I've watched in the other room, and Ellen or the kids will drop in and watch some. And Ellen and I watched this one, and whoa, there it is coming up.
Here you go.
And it's, you know what? This is a stupid fucking movie. It's a dumb idea. For then, it was fine. And when it first started, I said out loud to Ellen, I'm like, this seems like disturbingly familiar. Partly because it starts with all real eye surgery footage.
Yeah, that's true. That's true.
And I'm like, why does it look familiar? I might have seen this, but I would have been so young. There's no way that I could ever possibly verify it. But I don't know, there's something about this. He's so persistent and he's so, I am right. And we all know, dude, not even close. Just be around a person that's had any kind of transplant for 5 minutes and you will see that she's not running around that house 10 minutes after getting new eyeballs.
Oh.
But I kind of like the stupidity of it. I was kind of in the mood for that. So yeah, I'm going to recommend this. This is dumb, but it's a good bridge between, if you have somebody that likes medical drama, mystery, thriller stuff, and this is like, you want to edge them into the horror genre, this isn't a bad start because it's mostly just medical crime. So yeah.
Mostly just medical crime.
They were getting all their health care for free, so they were better off in a way. So I'm going to give this a B. I didn't hate it. I really thought I would.
Yeah. Yeah.
It was fun. It was stupid fun.
Yeah. I'm with you on most of the stuff here. I'm going to recommend it also. It's definitely got that cheesy 70s charm of trash that you're just like, you know what you're getting. You know it's going to be stupid. You know you're going to be able to fucking tear the science apart. You know you're going to be able to just be like, this is ridiculous. This is stupid and this is ridiculous. But it does have that charm. And I think Richard Basehart as the Doctor has a big piece of that because he plays that unhinged, high-level, smart guy that like is not the easiest thing in the world to pull off.
Oh, no. Yeah.
And the daughter, Trish Stewart plays the daughter, Nancy. She does a really good job of that brain dead heroine of just like, where are these eyeballs coming from? Like, she never questions anything until she starts to figure out what's going on.
But then she turns into the villain. Because she's like, what are you going to do with these bodies? And she's like, just kill them. What?
No, that's Catherine. Not the daughter. That's the wife, not the daughter.
Oh, shit. I got them confused.
That's all right.
Still, the wife went dark fast.
Yeah. Yeah, she did. But his response of like, well, I can't just kill them. She's like, you already took their eyes. Like,
yeah, that was more than halfway into the movie at that point.
There's like a dozen people in the basement just like walking around bumping into things.
Yeah. Oh, that would have been great.
Yeah, it's a thoroughly fine to pretty good cheesy 70s trash fest. So I'll give it a B-. And that and it's up in the B's because it's fun, it's lightweight, and just like as fun as any movie with about a doctor stealing everyone's eyes can be. But it's not if I'm making a like go-to 70s sleaze list, it's not on the list, but like it's like, oh, you've seen all that stuff? Check this out. It's not bad. And you can watch it on Shudder, Tubi, Plex, and all those places. So there you go, definitely. Carl, Mansion of the Doomed. And the other one Monstrum. I already forgot the name of.
Yeah. I reviewed it. Wipe.
Yeah, right out the door, man. I don't want nothing to do with this. Okay, so Joe, I believe, is starting the. Man, this is gonna. Do we like any of the Conjuring films? I feel like the first one was all right.
The first one was all right, and then they really leaned into the Warrens, and they're. Well, I don't want to ruin anything.
All right, let's play it, and then we can.
But they are mid-range. We need to sell popcorn. Movies.
Yeah.
They're not necessarily throwaway because like we have 40 of them. But it's factory produced horror.
Okay. All right. Well, let's see what Joe has to say.
Well, hello, Bill. Hello, Chris, and hello, OTC Nation. Your boy Joe here, and this week, I took myself to Rhode Island because I made myself watch The Conjuring. I think this might only be the third or fourth time in nearly a decade of doing this that Bill and I had a conference about what I would watch. We do this for a shoot, and 9 out of 10 times, OTC Nation, I find out what I'm watching when you do. This one was all me.
Yeah.
for a few reasons. The main one being that I've always felt like a little bit of an outlier in my paranormal interests, both in real life and as it relates to film. In the Venn diagram, where one circle reads, "This is all poppycock, hogwash, doo-doo shit," and the other circle is labeled, "Zach Baggins is an unimpeachable hero of truth and light," and here's a blurry Polaroid of a ball of light, and that proves that this is the ghost of Abigail Witherington, who threw herself from the battlements after finding out that her true love had the Arkansas buttworm tuberculosis, and free Nessie, and Bigfoot lives, and I think I exist in the sliver in the middle. The one that's probably actually not that little. The other is that it is baffling to me that this franchise took off the way it did.
I agree.
If you ever needed a stark comparison of horror movie culture in its peak in the 80s versus now, in one hand, I've got the Nightmare on Elm Street and Friday the 13th movies over here, and then all these elevated horror movies now with their muted color palettes and Babadooks. And I'm sorry, Heredity was the most boring ass, drier than Ben Shapiro's wife's pussy ass. The Babadook is a metaphor for grief, and I'm supposed to be scared by that ass movies. On the other hand, like, I get it. The world is bleak, but that's why your cinema should be an escape, you little turd ass, Gen Z ass, mumble rap ass nerds. Now get off my lawn. Sorry, just realized what an old man I sound like there. Now, let's start this juggernaut billion-dollar movie franchise based on two very successful scam artists who had to specifically put in their contract for this movie that they couldn't get into the multiple rape accusations against Ed Warren and, see if they can make ghosts scary to me. Good luck. Okay, I'm about half an hour in, and I will give them this. They nailed the early 70s. If you've ever browsed a family photo album and seen pics from that time, welcome to The Conjuring. Except your Nana probably didn't get yanked out of bed by unseen hands and had a room that smelled like sulfur and talked to people who weren't there. That shit all happened later in the nursing home. Probably. The sulfur thing could be just, everyone's bubble guts after eating a Jell-O mold ring filled with pineapple, pimento peppers, and tuna fish. Go read a cookbook from 1971 and you will see the real horror of the early 70s.
Yeah.
Ignoring all of the boo-boo horse shit for a moment, the Perrin family, led by Ron Livingston and Lily Taylor, who both fucking own this movie. Like, they shine in this fucking thing. And 5 young daughters who do the same goddamn thing as the Lutz family. They buy a house that is so far out of their means that they're almost immediately leveraged to the taint. And to top it off, instead of termites and radon, their house is infested with a malevolent spirit. Meanwhile, Ed and Lorraine Warren, played by the much better looking than the real life people, Patrick Wilson and Vera Farmiga, I don't know, so far this isn't bad. It's just the same as almost every haunted house movie made in the last ever. It's definitely, I'm sure especially for the people who buy into the paranorman, bolstered by the based on a true story tag. Much like Amityville. Right. Gotcha. Okay. If either were a 100% work of fiction, I'm betting interest in either would be 50% of what it is/was. Also in either, I'm reminded of Eddie Murphy's old stand-up bit about how this would never happen to a black family. Like, oh, baby, look at this house. It's beautiful, and there's a nice yard for the kids, and get out. Too bad we got to get the fuck out of here, baby. Let's go. Yeah. I guess I might be black then, because that would be my reaction. So now the Warrens and the Perrins are hanging out, only an hour of slamming doors and knocking on walls into this thing. And it's like watching the original ghost hunting show. Like the same stuff in every episode, but still admittedly kind of entertaining. This isn't blowing my skirt up, but it is way less boring than I expected. The only thing they're doing different here is tapping into the Christian persecution complex that has, pun fully intended, possessed both the boomers and a really surprising chunk of the younger millennials and Gen Z. Boy, that generation really just got butt fucked by the lack of I forget the name of the act. The thing that Ronald Reagan did away with, where you had to be truthful on TV and advertising, and you had to actually be able to like prove what you were saying on the news.
I think it was just called the Fairness in Advertising Act.
The baddie here is a satanic witch, although they definitely don't differentiate between Wicca, Satanism, and occultism here. Here is, it's not, if it's not Christian, therefore it's evil as fuck and it's going to vomit into your mouth.
Sounds about right.
Which is a thing that happens in this movie, and it's the only thing that even mildly disturbed me. Here, the only thing that can save the day is the love and light of their tax-exempt income stream. I mean, their Lord and Savior. For better or worse, they saved 90% of, I don't even want to say action, 90% of the stuff for the big finish. And I will fully admit that the last 20 minutes of this film are intense as fuck, and I guess scary? Kinda. Certainly scary if you fully believe in this kind of thing. Like, if you fully believe in this thing, you'll be peeing your pants. Ed performs an exorcism without church approval because there's no time, damn it. And good wins the day. With multiple openings for future movies that we already know they made because, it was 2012 and I've got 2 months worth of movies to watch. Here's the thing. The good. This film was in James Wan's very capable hands, and all the little things are considered, and this movie shines for those little details over the big picture. Like, it really does. The bad. It's not just that the Warrens are presented as the good guys here. They are presented as these like selfless, stalwart warriors for God who bore a burden that would make the rest of us plebe mortal chuckle fucks poop in our pants. Now, I'm not saying that the Warrens were as bad as Hitler, but he loved dogs. And that's a good quality in a human being. But you can't make a movie that's 90%, that's just 90 minutes of Hitler playing with a dachshund. At least I don't think you can. You shouldn't. At least not when we know all of the other stuff in both cases. And the Warrens were exposed long before this movie was made. Indignation aside, The Conjuring is about as serviceable a ghost movie as I've seen in quite a while. So, I'm going to give it a B if I'm being completely neutral, and a C+ if I'm only taking myself into consideration. I'll be back next week with the next movie in the CU, that's the Conjuring universe, Annabelle. I mean, at least dolls are real and kind of creepy, so I'll be back with that next week. And until then, be good, everyone.
Thanks, Joe. That sounds about right. All that tracks.
Yeah.
So, looking forward to your thoughts on Annabelle next week, and I guess we're looking forward to Scott's segment too.
Yep.
Man, one of these days I'm going to check everything I need to check before we get going and be like, oh, okay.
No, you won't.
What?
Yeah.
Holy shit.
Yeah. With Reverend Scott.
There's a rash of burglaries.
We got you. Robberies.
Hey there, Bill and Chris. This is Reverend Scott, back yet again for another segment of Holy Shit.
At no point does he stop and think, the fuck am I doing? But whatever.
Whatever is right, because I have yet another Marvel movie to talk about this week.
Oh, no.
Well, I guess we'll see how oh no it really is, because I saw the Thunderbolts asterisks. How exciting. Bill, can you get us started?
First, we're going to play you a trailer, and then we're going to get into it. Take a listen. Damn it.
That was quick.
Son of a bitch. It's not connected.
That's actually shockingly appropriate for one of the themes of this movie, losers. Because this time around, we have Florence Pugh as Alibaba Black Widow, Wyatt Russell as we have Captain America at home, David Harbour as Russian Timu Captain America Santa Claus, Hannah John Kamen as the cleverly named Ghost because I almost forgot she was in this, Sebastian Stan as Super James Bond, and Julia Louis-Dreyfus as CIA Director Mega Elaine. And not to be outdone by Kurt Russell's son Wyatt, Bill Pullman tosses his son's hat into the ring with Lewis Pullman playing Bob. Now, since this is a pretty new movie still, I'm going to try not to spoil much, at least less than the filmmakers themselves have spoiled their own movie 3 days after release by changing the title in all their publicity posters. And no, I'm not kidding. They made a big deal out of changing the title of the movie in honor of that little asterisk at the end.
Are you fucking serious? Is this an AI ad? What is going on here?
So, what's this about? Well, CIA Director Elaine is in some hot water. She's been conducting human experiments and doing science-type stuff that she probably shouldn't be doing, all under the guise of the CIA, using some little group she calls OXE or something like that. Whatever, it's covert shit, and they're doing stuff they shouldn't be doing. And on top of that, they're sending around people like Dime Store Captain America and Black Widow to cover up their tracks. Congressman Gary, played masterfully by Wendell Pierce, has Elaine being investigated for potential impeachment. And despite explaining how innocent she really is, Elaine has a lot of skeletons in her closet, so she starts to dispose of it all.
Can you imagine how many conversations the Secret Service has to monitor now?
All of them.
Yeah.
In addition to that, she calls in some favors. She sends Black Widow to some remote facility to dispose of what we soon find out to be Ghost. Once inside, we find that not only Ghost is there with Black Widow, but also ex-Captain America and Taskmaster. And they all have orders to kill each other. Oh, and did I mention Bob is there too? I'm sure that doesn't mean anything.
Yeah.
Right.
Well, after a pretty fun fight scene, the doors lock around them, and they quickly realize that Elaine didn't bring them there to dispose of some secrets. They are the secrets she's disposing of. They all start thinking,
how did we get here?
And it won't be long until they're all incinerated. This leads to some wonderful banter and ribbing and some fun teamwork to try and escape the facility. Later on, we have the Red Guardian join in his ridiculous stretch limo because the team needs a ride, which will ultimately disappoint Chris.
Just fucking walk home.
Right.
And eventually, Bucky Barnes joins in with a badass motorcycle sequence. It doesn't take long to find out that Bob is one of the only quote-unquote successful experiments, but even director Elaine didn't know about him. And she's very excited to support him and all the powers he now has. And I know we've all seen a dozen super weapon gone wrong, can't control him type movies before, and so far Bob has not proven to have much control.
He's done every single thing wrong.
Yeah, he has.
But Elaine is super confident that that's just mainly an image problem, which she can fix with a new suit and some new hair and a new name. But no fancy costume or superhero marketing is going to hold back the black void that's been dormant inside of Bob. And now this unlikely group of anti-heroes must come together to try and stop it. I know, shocking twist in the plot there.
But I know that for the sake of the movie, that stuff has to happen. But does it?
Here's the thing, though. They handle Elaine, a.k.a. Valentina Allegra de Fontaine's character very well. She's an immoral slimeball, but she's very smart and always seems to find the good optics in a bad situation. So one of Bob's powers seems to be the ability to trap you in a nightmare of your own worst haunting life experiences. And it just so happens that living through trauma and dealing with the repercussions of that trauma as well as how it's affected relationships and your life, is exactly where Florence Pugh shines. You spend most of the movie enjoying her performance, but deep down you know that she has more range than just beating people up and vaguely using a Russian accent. And thank God does your patience pay off, because they give her a lot of meat to sink her acting chops into during the later parts of this movie.
Thank you for waiting.
You're welcome.
Hell, they even almost make John Walker relatable in this. Granted, all of his sorrow is very well deserved, and they show how his lack of restraint as Captain America briefly cost him pretty much everything in his life. Bob is quite sympathetic as well when he needs to be, and David Harbour does terrific as the Drax of the group. If this was meant to be the Earthbound version of the Guardians of the Galaxy, I say that mission was accomplished. The themes of fighting your inner demons might be a little heavy-handed, but it's shown in an interesting and entertaining way. I guess my only slight complaint is the all not so subtle character exposition during the first act of the film. While most of the writing is witty and well done, those little recaps of where some of these characters came from or the various things that they did in their past are just kind of tossed into the script, and they felt a little forced and out of place at times. But I guess that's what you have to do to help out the audience members that haven't seen the Hawkeye show and the She-Hulk show and the Falcon and the Winter Soldier show on Disney+, plus the Black Widow movie and Ant-Man 2, plus 11 years of Bucky in movies. The barrier to entry is quite high if you want to know all of the lore, but this movie's still accessible even for the most filthy casual superhero fan to still enjoy. Your uninterested wife or girlfriend will see this and still think,
I like this, but I don't know why I like this.
So I certainly do recommend Thunderbolts Asterix. It's a nice return to form for Marvel, and I give it a B+. Well, I think that just about does it for my review, but how did you guys do last week reviewing After Hours? Well, I guess it's only fitting that I reviewed a Marvel movie in the same segment that I'm also talking about a Scorsese film, but I'm kind of disappointed he didn't do a mobster movie of his. I mean, haven't you heard he does those pretty well?
He's a I heard.
100%.
What?
I would give you an A- for your review, but you neglected to mention that Cheech and Chong were in that movie, so I gotta deduct points. And you also didn't mention that Michael Bolton was in that movie, so there's some more points. So I guess you get like a straight B.
I'm not gonna disagree. Well, obviously I can't disagree because it's your opinion, but
that's the end of the segment. So until the next superhero slop hits the theater, peace and love, guys. Holy Shit with Reverend Scott, now recorded while wearing boxer briefs.
Balls would hit the ceiling all the time.
Outside the cinema.
This is a black comedy. But I know that it when it
because
was
it's funny, but not for anybody involved.
Yeah. All right, well, let's thank Carl for sending us the flicks for this week. If you are a Patreon member and have not suggested films for this year, please head over to patreon.com/outside the cinema and send us some flicks. And if you're not a member and would like to become a member, you can go to that same link and do that there. And then send us movies. All the money we generate goes back into keeping the show alive. I don't know what's going on for next week. I will figure that out sometime in the next 24 hours for Chris, and then the rest of you can find out about it next week's show.
Sounds like a plan to me. That's
it,
the plan
and that's all.
Yep. Yeah.
We're out.
Okay, bye.